Oh, there we go. That one hit hard. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Hello, hello, bigger. Bigger, 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 bigger. Another giant, another giant. Look at that, y'all. I can't believe what I just caught. Yes! Cheater rig with the cheater box. What's going on, folks? Welcome back to TRF. It is cold, but not as cold as it will be here in a few days. I want to talk about winter lures, but also just do a little bit of Alabama rig smackdown fishing. We got Taylor back in the boat. He was home in New York for about 2 weeks, but we're going to catch some fish today. Water temp is about 51 degrees. It's going to be probably in the 30s after the next week because we have highs in the 30s, lows in the teens, and snow incoming. Yes, in Texas, we got snow coming. But I'm gonna take the Alabama rig and catch y'all a few fish with Taylor. Then we're gonna sit down and talk about wintertime lures, which ones are best and most effective for you guys. Because while I say it's cold for me, my blood is not used to what a lot of you guys fish who still have open water where you live. Your water may be in the 30s. What lures are gonna work for you? We're gonna talk about it. But for now, let's catch a bass. Taylor, get yourself, we have an A-rig rod for you in there. Now the thing about the Alabama rig is that, yes, it is a fantastic forward-facing sonar lure, but you can also use it just casting it out there, letting it sink close to or near the bottom, and then just slowly retrieving it back in. It is, in its simplest form, a swim bait, a jig head with a swim bait on it. It's just got however many legal hooks you can have in your state. I'm just using 3 because for the most part, the bottom 2 and the middle one that extends furthest in the back are the ones that get bit most often. See right here, we got 1 on the back and 2 on the bottom, and then these 2 up top are just screw locked dummy hooks. I don't care if only 1 hook per bait is allowed in your state. You can put 4 dummies on there, and an A-rig can be a fantastic wintertime lure. I think I've got a fit. No, I don't have one. Oh, I do have one. I have one. I knew it. I knew it. Yes. Dun, 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 dun. Kind of symptomatic of wintertime. You catch a lot of small bass like this. Oh, spot lock. And today we are culling some fish out of this guy's property. So this bass right here is a goner. Bye-bye. So I'm gonna vertically fish this A-rig. Hey, let's go. 2 casts in a row. Chunky one. Come on now. Come on now. Thank you. Outcast tackle, goldeneye swim bait head. Got him. Get you slow, creeping on the bottom. Do 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 do. There we go. Yes, sir. Another small one, I think. Hey, man, we are accomplishing the lake owner's goal, getting these dinks out of here. 3 in a row. Haha. And 0 for Uncle Taylor. He stinks. I'm kidding. He doesn't stink. Can I go 4 in a row? Yes, sir. I can. Oh, he got off, though. Wah, wah. There we go. 4.5 in a row. That one feels a little nicer. Do I got him sideways? Oh, he's fat. Get this guy in here. I'm gonna keep this guy in the lake just purely because of the genetics. A nice fat one. You know what? He's probably just above the slot they wanted anyways. And after that many fish, my A-rig is already looking a little torn up. I got the Strike King Swim and Shiner on there, my favorite little swim bait for jig heads. And I'm just spot locked, literally just casting out at a flat where there's some fish. And that can happen in ponds, that can happen in lakes, that can happen with or without sonar. If you know a deep area where they sit, cast out there, let the A-rig sink to the bottom as long as you don't have like snaggy stuff. And then just slow, like slow, slow, slow. Slow, there it is. Get him in here.
5.5 in a row.
Taylor really stinks. He ain't caught one yet. Let's go. Ew, I got knocked. It went donk. What you got? Oh, ho, ho. Taylor's got one. Get him in here. That is not a coal. That one stays. Nice. He caught a bass. Yay. Goodness. He just pushed it forward. Dang it. Oh, there we go. That one hit hard. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Hello, hello, bigger, 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 mucho grande, mucho grande. The type that you don't cull out of the lake. Oh, I got them in 2 places. Let's go. Ho, 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 ho. Yes, sir. See, that's what an A-rig can do for you. Blind cast it out there. Few hooks in it, wasn't coming off. Gosh dang, winter 5-pounder. Yes, sir. Oh, thick. Super thick. All right, 5-pounder. 2 thumbs up from Tyler. I was scoping a little hump out here, didn't catch any, and so while I'm just kind of pedaling around finding something, I made a cast out to the left, a blind cast, may I add, and caught the biggest bass. So, like I said, A-rig is just a heavy, if you get it snagged, expensive search bait for the winter time, but there's not really many other lures besides like a single big swim bait that you can actually reel slow across the bottom. And if your state allows it, I don't care if you think it's cheating, if you're fun fishing, throw this thing. There we go. Are you big? I can't tell. No. Not big, but chunky. A nice little monkey. And as long as we keep taking small fish out, the ones this size will get to 4 pounds in no time. Oh yes, nice. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh yes.
That's a picture fish.
Nice job, buddy. All right, they're biting now. Oh, we on a bag. So hopefully y'all enjoyed those few fish catches right there. I'm rigging up one last bait before we kind of go over my overall list. And this is going to be a lot less formal than my average sit-down studio, you know, push-pull shots with B-roll of lures. I just want to kind of talk about all the lures that I use, and I'm like 15 years into this in terms of winter bass fishing. So the ones that I find most effective. And then tomorrow we have a crazy cold front. Again, highs in the 30s every single day, lows in the teens. And so what lures work when it actually gets really dang cold, because it kind of whittles that list down. And the bait that I was just re-rigging was the Outcast Tackle GoldenEye swim bait head with a little minnow shaken Mach schooler right there. And this is one of my staples for the wintertime, especially now that we have forward-facing sonar, but it still works for you guys who don't have it. Just throw it in the same exact place as you throw your standard paddle tail swim bait on a jig head, or as I threw recently on the channel, the pre-rigged swim bait. So that's wintertime lure number 1. Number 2, which you saw me catch quite a few fish on in the last few minutes, was the Alabama rig. And the reason why I still love the Alabama rig is not because of live scope. It's because this thing is an incredible wintertime search bait. The bass in this body of water, despite there being bait fish all throughout, are not chasing the bait fish today. They are sucked all the way down to the bottom. And so you could throw some hard baits we're gonna talk about here in a second, and of course some bottom baits like a drop shot, but neither one of those is actually a covering water sort of bait. Now a crankbait, yes, can work for that, but a crankbait oftentimes cannot be retrieved as slowly as the Alabama rig is. So even though it is dangerous to throw, because it has so many hooks, and if you get snagged, a lot of money's down the drain. If you learn to understand how quickly or slowly your A-rig falls in the water column, you can actually keep it above all the snaggy stuff down there on the bottom and catch quite a few fish just slow creeping this thing along the bottom. Does forward-facing sonar help? Absolutely. Live scope helps me understand where the bait is. I would say not even just to catch fish. Most of the fish that I see in the column don't eat this thing anymore. They've seen so many of them. It's just to make sure my bait doesn't get snagged. It's almost like a safety feature that I use live scope with this thing, but just casting it out there over a long, big point, over a flat, whatever you have, even in ponds, a lighter sized Alabama rig, cast out there, sunk close to the bottom, and slow retrieved, can catch some dang bass. So that's kind of the 2 minnow baits that I throw in the winter. Number 3 is, again, minnow in a sense, but it's worked a lot different. It's a lot quite finesse, and that is the suspending jerkbait. I've got 3 sizes here. I've got the KVD 100 with 2 treble hooks. I throw a ton of these in ponds, and if you have a warmer day in the wintertime, even if it gets cold, the fish may slide up onto some rocks. That's a good spinning jerkbait. And then the 300 dives maybe 6 inches to a foot deeper. Same size bill, but it's a little heavier bait. And then the one that I'm throwing the majority of the time in the winter, at least from the bass boat and the kayak, is going to be the 300 deep jerkbait. And sometimes I'll even put a little bit of lead wire or lead tape wrapped around the hook, and that helps it to sit like this and even sink ever so slightly in the water. If you missed my jerkbait masterclass video, I will leave that link down in the video description. I believe I just made a new one, or it's like the next video coming out. So that's all my minnow type baits. Yes, I do throw shallow diving crankbaits. So here I've got a shad flat side, and then I've got 3 different crawfish colored, aka red colored flat side crankbaits. I throw a ton of flat sides on any kind of rock I can find in the winter or hard bottom. Taylor, pan over there. Y'all see it is grassy and sandy and weedy. I'm not throwing a flat side in this kind of quarry lake that I'm in today. That is just on your hard bottom, rocky reservoirs and on the dam and on boat ramps, that kind of stuff. That's where I'm throwing a flat-sided crankbait. And then if I'm in ponds, the lipless crankbait is a fantastic bait for pond fishing. Now, Tyler, if it gets cold, do those lures work? Some of them. Alabama rig and minnow shake, I would say if you have forward-facing sonar, minnow shake works. But what really works is the bottom contact bait. So we've got the drop shot with a smaller worm. Y'all have seen this one on the channel the last few weeks and months. It is my favorite little 4-inch Elastec type finesse worm here. It's the Strike King. I think it's the Super Finesse. The second one is a shaky head. I like throwing it on a football head in the wintertime just to make sure it makes good contact down there on the bottom. The same exact worm I throw on the drop shot usually, the Strike King filler worm, I throw on the shaky head. Both of those ultra slow. I mean, you are shaking like this. You are dragging like this. You want it to be as on the bottom as humanly possible. And one of the baits that really helps stay on the bottom in the wintertime is a football jig. This here is a 3/4 ounce PB&J with a little gold on there as well. And this thing with a Strike King Rage Craw trailer is just a great way to target fish that you know are on the bottom, and they might not even come up to eat an Alabama rig. That's how cold these fish are, but a heavy jig like a football jig slowly drug along the bottom is a great way to get those cold fish. I'm talking water temps in the 30s to eat. Taylor and I were out here on the same lake last year. The water temp was 38. We could not get them to eat the shaking the minnow technique until I stopped teaching it. I let the bait hit the bottom. I did something on my phone. I picked it back up, and whammy, I had a 6.5 pounder because this thing was sitting down there on the bottom. So if you're not letting your lures, when it's cold, get down there on the bottom, you're missing out. And especially if you're not throwing a football jig and a drop shot or a shaky head, you're losing out on potentially catching fish. And I'm not saying they're gonna lead to a 10 fish, a 20 fish day. But in the wintertime, the difference between catching 0 fish and 2 fish is a whole lot, and I would rather go home at least having caught a few fish as opposed to nothing. So that's kind of my overall general winter fish. Taylor, what do you say we catch one more fish, huh? Let's do it. Let's see if we can't snag one. Oh, yes, I got one. There we go. Let's hope it's a small enough one to get out of here. Yes, you, my friend, are going in the tank. As we so fondly say here on the channel, that's a single scoop, and he's going in the tank. To live his life in some other pond. I'm not done. Let's catch another one. Too much fun. Oh, yes, there we go. There we go. Hey, not a big one, but it does what we intended to do at this place today, which is take out a few bass. Can you just chill, please? Thank you. You've helped prove my point. The A-Rig is a great wintertime search bait, and hopefully y'all, again, I'm gaining a little bit of confidence on things to throw, or more so ideas, because I'm excited about days like this. What I'm not excited about is the days that are to come, because it's gonna get cold, but fishing still has to happen. My name's Tyler. As always, it's a pleasure. If you want to see my Alabama Rig Masterclass video, it'll be clickable up here in the corner. As always, the exact tackle I talked about, rods, reels, line, everything, is linked down in the video description. I'm gonna put this guy on the live well, and we'll see y'all next time right here on TRF.